Hey everyone! How's everyone doing today? Today we're having an episode of Transformation Time. We're gonna have Kadie on. She's gonna tell us about her personal development journey and her mindset shifts with it, which I think it's always exciting to hear how people develop it because you don't realize like how important personal development and mindset is. So just give me a second. I'm just gonna add her in right now. Oh, okay. Okay, she should be coming on in a minute. Hey,
Hi,
how are you?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Great, great. Thanks so much for coming on. It's so much fun to always have real estate investors, entrepreneurs come and share their stories and just see their journeys because it's not always about like, you know, what gets done, like what you see. It's always like internal. There's so much stuff that we don't realize that are even like how we're changing ourselves. And it's quite shocking sometimes, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? It's pretty amazing
Mhm.
though.
Yeah, it is very amazing. So do you want to, should we start with just telling everyone a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Kadie. I'm Kadie. I'm a mama bear of five, a real estate investor, mindset coach, and I just love life, you know? And so
Awesome.
what I do, well, I started on this real estate investing journey with my husband. And we just wanted to basically scale real estate, right? Having five children, real estate was a great avenue to really be able to build that generational wealth. And so we invested in mentorship. And through that mentorship came personal development, something that was completely new to me. I didn't even know what personal development was until I got into mentorship. And the moment that I did, it was literally like me stepping out of a dark cave and into the light. It was
Hmm.
like I was just existing before. I didn't realize that there was a whole other world out there, right? And as soon as I was aware of it, I just absolutely like fell in love with it, and it completely changed my life.
I totally hear you. It's the same with me. Yeah, it's something that you don't realize exactly the importance of it until, you have the mentor and you're starting to take the actions because like, I'm paying you. I should probably listen to you, you know? And then you start realizing, oh my God, what have I been missing my whole life?
Exactly. And it's so funny because, with the mentorship, they always talked about personal development and the importance of it. And we're like, yeah, 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 I know. But you know what? Just like, I just want to get this stuff done. I just want to scale this business, And it was
Yeah.
like, okay, enough of that. I don't need that. Just give me the stuff that I need. Like, give me the formulas, give me the stuff I need to kind of scale this real estate. And then the moment that I just sort of, just released and just opened up to it, that's exactly how I was. Like, oh my goodness, what? Like, are you serious? Like, yeah. So it's amazing.
Yeah, and I think it even more reinforces once you really start looking back on all the work you've done, and then just seeing that really it's like you yourself have changed, right? And it was your changes that you did about yourself, like your inner self, that has made everything happen.
Well, that's what it's all about, right? It
Hmm.
starts from within, and we
Hmm.
don't realize that, but it's the work that we do. The harder we work on ourselves, the better our results, our physical results are going to be as a result of the work that we do on us. And that's what's
Hmm.
so difficult for some people to wrap their heads around, right? Because
Yeah.
everybody's caught up on just wanting the strategy, not
Yeah.
realizing
Or
that.
just we even make the excuses, right? Like it's, oh, it's the environment, it's what's around us that's the problem. And it's always the excuse, excuse, excuse. That was one thing also I have to say that I learned. Like, I thought I was a person that I don't really make excuses. until like I started getting into this and like that you start like really analyzing what is going on in your head. I'm like, oh, like I never thought of that. That's actually an excuse. I never thought of this. That's actually an excuse.
I
Did you have that kind of revelation too?
Yeah, well, I realized I was playing a victim, and I didn't realize it until I got into this, where it was like, oh my goodness, wow, like I've literally been playing a victim here. I've been acting as if, you know, I had no control over my life. And the moment that I realized that I'm the creator of everything that I'm where I'm at right now, and that I can control this, and I can basically like plan out my own life, like not have to worry about what's going on outside of me, and that I can create my own life. I mean, there's freedom in that. Right?
Mm-hmm.
There's freedom in taking responsibility, because then wow, I have the ability to have, be, or do absolutely anything I want in life.
Totally agree. And I feel like once you have that revelation, you feel like things just even start moving quicker.
Yeah.
Because you just start being like, oh my God, action take, action take. I think action taking just becomes so much more.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. So I love it. I mean, it's pretty much my life now. Like I live, breathe, and dream it. Like I love it so much, because I mean, it's just improved my life so much. I mean, with not just the real estate, but with my marriage, with my parenting, with the way that I conduct myself in every area. It's just, it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Totally agree. So let's go back to the real estate side of things and just like what even got you thinking about getting into real estate or yeah, just getting into real estate.
Yeah, so my husband always knew that he wanted to get into real estate investing. I was a little bit apprehensive initially, just fear, right? Not wanting. It started with wanting to rent out the basement, and I was like, I don't want, the whole typical. I don't want strangers in our basement and what have you. So I kind of fought it initially, but he was pretty, gung ho, and so we finished the basement. We rented it out, and once we started getting the rent, I was realizing, oh my goodness, like this is so amazing, right? Like, why wouldn't we want to do this? And then
Mm-hmm.
we got our first investment property and started doing some work. We had to gut that whole place and kind of do a triplex conversion on that. And it was a lot. It was challenging. And so during that process, we finished that. And then it was like, okay, we're going to do another one. But I realized that I really needed to educate myself in this, and I needed to know more. And I felt like, you know, there's got to be an easier way to do what we're doing. Like when we got that first investment property, we didn't know. We just jumped in. We
Mm-hmm.
did what most people do. You contact a
Yeah,
realtor,
everyone does that.
right?
You take the plunge and you like figure it out while it goes.
Right. Did. We overpaid for it, for it, and just basically did what we had to do. We didn't regret it. At least we got in, and we learned a lot of lessons. But we realized very quickly that if we continued this way, we were going to run out of money real quick. And so I thought there's got to be an easier way. And so that's really what it was. I was like, I just started searching online, started looking for information, and I didn't even realize that there was a whole community out there at the time. And I was like pleasantly surprised to see, oh wow, there's groups about this, there's YouTube videos, and that's really what started it. Just kind of doing that search and then just connecting with like-minded individuals, getting into groups of, like the stuff that you and I were involved in, and it just kind of catapulted from there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. And what about, for example, like that? Like, I think probably a mind shift that probably happens to all of us was going into the mentorship. Specifically, I think money wise is the main one. We start realizing our money minds are like not so good. How was how was your mindset? Like, how did you go through when you were starting to do your mentorship or thinking about even doing it, like that process?
Well, I just wanted to learn more about real estate. I wasn't interested in mindset stuff or anything. I just wanted to scale the real estate, right? Just thinking, just give me the strategies, let me do the stuff, right? So that's how it was initially. And it was just, hearing our mentors talking and constantly talking about personal development, and just, I don't know, I guess just hearing it enough. And finally, I was just like, okay, already, okay, let me just, kind of start diving into this. And the moment that I did, it was like, oh my goodness, like, wow. I mean, this is like, this is life changing. It's amazing.
Mhm. Yeah. Was there a specific book that you read that shifted you, or was it just the mentorship, or what really shifted you to realize personal development was so important?
The first book that did it for me was from T. Harv Eker, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. That's what just got me like, wow, I want more.
Yeah, mine was the same thing. I was like, oh my God. And it's funny because the way they do it is they have so many different stories, like a few different stories where you are going to be in one of those. So it hits you because once you read that story that is your story, you're like, oh, I do that.
Yeah, and I love how he talks about the wealth consciousness versus the poverty consciousness, and what rich people think and how poor people think, the differences, and what will keep people poor. That the money blueprint that he talks about. I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, it's just, yeah. So that's and then of course once I had that, I started going up like into other books, The Slight Edge from Jeff Olson, The Compound Effect from Darren Hardy, Think and Grow Rich from Napoleon Hill. And then it just, there's been so many books now. I've gone through so many, studied them. I'm going through them more than once. And I mean, I just love it. I love it. So yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine it. I was the same with me. Like you just read one book that captures you. Actually, the first one that captured me though was in the sense of entrepreneurship, because there are other ones, development books, but like development slash entrepreneurship was The Slight Edge. That one was the one that really got me into reading. I don't know, it's just like, oh my
Yeah.
God, what is this?
Yeah. One is pretty darn amazing. Just
Hmm.
it's so true, right? Like it's the little things that we do. It's so easy to do, yet so easy not to do. And so,
Oh yeah.
that's just it. And we just go through life with no direction, not even consciously being aware of what it is that we're doing, not realizing
Hmm.
that when we don't have a compass, a purpose, a specific thing that we're working towards, we're literally disintegrating, because it's created
Hmm.
to disintegrate, right? There's no standing still. Like he says, there's no constant. You either grow or you die, right?
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. So
Yeah.
what would you say were your, like looking back into the past now, what mindset shifts did you go through? And like share a story, like how did it feel or like what happened?
Just my relationship with money. I realized that I really had a scarcity mindset, limiting beliefs that was holding me back. And when I
Mm-hmm.
became that, that's when things really change, right? When I can make a decision because I want something, not because do I have the money. I stopped making
Mm-hmm.
money my master and
Mm-hmm.
said, "Get thee behind me, money." Right? Like just I'm in charge. I'm in control here, not money. And when we really understand money is energy, right? That's all it is. It's used for a purpose to exchange goods or services, right? But so many of us put money at the helm of everything as if it's we literally treat it like it's our god, in a sense where we can't do anything until money says I can, type of thing. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
stuck. That's what
Yeah.
stuck.
And I believe it was the Millionaire Mindset actually that talks about how which is, I think this is something that I was doing, whereas, you don't realize, or not, actually, I wasn't doing this one, but like specifically people that don't have money, that they would push it away and you don't realize, like you're saying that, for example, what was it they say? Like, oh, I don't care about
Yeah.
money.
Oh, I don't. I don't. You just love that? First of all, you're lying to yourself, right? They're trying to convince themselves that it's not important. And what
Hmm.
what he says there, he's like, it's so ridiculous because, yes, of course, we all understand that money is not everything. Money doesn't buy you love, but money is important for the purpose for which it serves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just as love is important. Look, I can't go to the grocery store and say, you know what, money's not all that important. I need these groceries, but I would like to exchange love, right? Can we go to the bank and say money's not important? Just take love.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
let's be real here. Money is important. And I love what money
Mm-hmm.
does. And I will welcome all the money that is available for me. I welcome it graciously. Anybody out there who feels that money is not important to you, I will graciously accept what you don't want. Okay, I'll put it out there right now. But right? I mean, and what he talked about is money goes where it's invited, where it's wanted, where it's welcome. And
Mm-hmm.
our subconscious mind takes us at our word, right? It doesn't take jokes. So when you say
Mm-hmm.
money's not important, your subconscious mind says, okay, it makes sure that you're going to live a life where it's never going to be important for you, right? So
100%. You know which example I really liked? I wasn't sure. This is not in the book, but probably heard somewhere else was just um, if you think about, for example, your friends or family, if you tell them, I don't care about you, like what's gonna happen? They're gonna go leave, right? If you keep on telling them, they're like, well, I'm not wanted here, so why am I going to stay here? And you don't think to associate that the same thing would happen with money, but it's actually it's all the same. Like you said, it's everything is all energy. So if it's like we're pushing things away, it will it will leave. It's just like it's like, okay, you don't need me, go. And then you wonder why you're struggling. It's like we're doing it to ourselves.
yeah, no, exactly, totally. Money goes where it's
Hmm.
wanted. And so I want you
Hmm.
money. I will graciously accept what all those people out there say they don't want. I'm here for the taking.
I agree. Me too. Yeah, it's funny, and I think it's like that, just the things that they tell us about it, right? Like, oh, you're greedy if you want money, or like all these things, and then like that, it probably goes against your core values, right? You're like, oh, I don't want to be a greedy person. I don't want people to think that I'm like this kind of person,
Yeah.
and then so you think like I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of people push away money is because you're like, oh, you're a greedy person. What do you think?
I think that the more money that I can make or earn, I like to say earn, the more money that I can earn, the better it is for everybody around me because the more good I can do. I'm no good
Mm-hmm.
one if I'm struggling, broke, and poor. But I
Mm-hmm.
can tell you, I can do a lot of good when I have money to do it with. All the organizations that I donate to, it just feels so good to know that I can do that. If I didn't
Mm-hmm.
have money, I wouldn't be able to do that. I wouldn't be able to contribute to my community that way. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's not evil. It's just
Yeah.
unfortunate that so many of us have just had that drilled into our heads for various reasons. But it's not true. It's a lie. And a lot of us have
Mm-hmm.
been conditioned with a lot of things that have just been lies and just simply aren't serving.
Agreed. Yeah. And yeah, and I think also is just exactly what you're saying, right? It's like if because I need money to be healthy, I need money to be, like in shape. I need money to, make sure I have a roof over my head and I'm taking care of myself in every sense of the word of what being healthy is, right? And it's like if you don't have that, you start realizing you start deteriorating so much. And like that, it's like you look at the people that, let's say, donate to charities, they're all like the millionaire billionaires. They're the super rich people. The amount of money they donate is insane, the amount of money they donate. And imagine if they didn't donate. We wouldn't be where we are with like all the charities, and like the amount of research or even research that happens is mainly because all the wealthy people are investing so much money in whatever it is that they believe in and that they um, want to succeed. And so it's like people don't, yeah, it's like it seems like we're told like, oh, it's about greed, and we don't realize that it's what can you really do? Like you said, it's like what person wants to be rich all on its own doing, by themselves? No, they're gonna like they want to start sharing that money and using it to either, hang out with their friends or like that help other people. And it's, for some reason that's like blocked in us. Like we only think of like, oh, it's just greed, but it has nothing to do with that. What do you think?
Money is meant to be circulated, right?
Mm-hmm.
fill your cup, let it overflow, and then you can start pouring it out to those around you, right? But if you're hungry, you got nothing to give.
Mm-hmm.
Think if you are able to earn money and if you have the ability to earn money, you should earn as much money as you possibly can. It's your duty to do that. And then
Mm-hmm.
give. If you don't want it, give it away. Give it away
Mm-hmm.
to those who aren't at the they're unable to for various reasons, and that's why we have these charitable organizations to help those that are less privileged, to help those that aren't able to. And sometimes people just need a hand up every now and then, right? And our overflow can help for that. And if you have the ability to do it, you should. It's your duty. That's what I think. I think it's selfish to
Mm-hmm.
not want to do as much as you can.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And a lot of us like that, we're so, enslaved with it, like not being able to do much because it's like we're living paycheck by paycheck. And and then it's just kind of like when you're in that state of like almost like starving all the time, you can't think of anything else but yourself, to be honest. It's probably, if anything, you're being selfish in that sense because all you're thinking about, I need to pay all my bills, I need to do this, I need to do that. Where it's like once you start going in abundance, you're like, how can I help you? That's something that a lot of us now do, right? In real estate, we're like, how can I help you? What can I do for you? What do you need? It's always thinking about other people now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it's all about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when
So have you had,
you can understand,
sorry.
when you can learn to understand the purpose of money and what it's meant for and use it properly, put money in its damn place where it belongs, right? You get to live a much better life. What good are you to someone if you're broke, struggling, making ends meet? You've got the accolade of saying, "Oh, I'm not greedy because I have no money." But you have no money, so you can't do anything for yourself, much less anybody else. What type of life is?
Mm-hmm.
We are meant to live in abundance. We are meant
Mm-hmm.
to live our best life, each and every one of us. We've all been gifted with creative faculties that give us all the ability to create our own lives, right? It's just so many people don't know this and they don't realize this. And so they sit there feeling victimized, not realizing
Mm-hmm.
that they can change this, right?
100%. Totally agree. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's, especially on the entrepreneur side, I think that's probably the biggest, the very first thing I think is like getting rid of like our limiting mindsets on money. Did you have any other mindset shifts that you felt going through the process, or even getting into like now you're into like a mindset and coaching?
I'm always having mindset shifts because I'm always learning. I'm always studying. I'm always growing. I still have so much to learn. I will be a lifelong student in this.
Mm-hmm.
You're never always going to get it, right? I mean, we live in our whole purpose here is to grow in our awareness, right? And to constantly learn and stretch ourselves. So I'm never going to arrive. I'm always going to be having shifts. Every day I'm killing off my old self and being reborn into my new awareness. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's constant for me.
That's amazing. Any other, like, any specific kind of like mindset shifts that you've experienced lately?
Well, I know that uh, what we spend our time thinking about is key because we
Mm-hmm.
become what we think about. And we have been programmed to think always on the negative polarity of things. So there's the law of polarity, right? There's a positive and a negative. Everything is a positive and negative. And we've been programmed to constantly go to the negative, not realizing that if we are focusing our attention there, who is it that says it? I think it's Dr. Joe Dispenza. Energy goes where your attention goes, energy flows, or something like that. So many different people say so many different things, but at the end of the day, they're all saying the same thing. We become what we think about.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is where you put your energy. The only thing that can grow is the thing that you give energy to. So if you're giving energy to lack, if you're giving energy to limitation, this is what you are calling into your experience and what you are basically creating for yourself. So if you can learn to shift that and focus on what it is that you want, constantly dwell there, that's what's going to start growing. It can be no other way, right?
100%. Yeah, completely. And I think, and also having the faith, because a lot of people, I think, also, will take the actions, especially now in our day and age. I think take the actions, but think, oh, okay, it should happen like today or tomorrow, very, very quickly, and then they give up.
Yeah. But not blind faith, though. Faith with understanding. The problem
Mhm,
is people who lack faith is because they don't understand. They're ignorant,
mhm,
right? And
mhm,
not ignorant in a negative way. It's just simply that they just don't understand. How do you get
mhm,
understanding? You get it through study, right? And
yeah.
you got,
And taking action, and exactly, like learning and taking action are the most important things,
yeah,
because it's really funny. I'm curious if this happened to you too. Like, people tell you these things. For example, even us, what we're talking about, like, they tell you, but for some reason it doesn't make sense to your head, or it's like it's too simple. Like, what are you talking about? I remember before there were certain words that are like, things that were said, and I was just kind of like, what are you saying to me? Like, is this just like, it's too simple, and I do this and nothing happens, like, it just, like, it didn't click in for me. And then once, obviously, like that, we're doing our mentorships, or we're getting business done, because we're like, we're paying for our mentors, so we should be listening. And then it's funny, because then I had like a shift where all of a sudden all those words that they were saying before that never really made sense, or didn't make sense. It sounded too simple. And I was just like, why aren't you telling me the real thing? Like, what really happens and what the truth is? Because it's like you're talking too simple and it's not true. And then all of a sudden I had that mindset shift, and I started understanding everything they said. And I was like, oh my God. I was just like, it is that simple. Did you have that kind of shift?
you know what? I guess for me, I was a little more open to just accepting it, like
Mm-hmm.
just taking it on. I
Mm-hmm.
I guess perhaps I had moments of, oh, it's, not true, but I really wanted to just be open and just receive all the, because looking at our mentors' lives, right, and the fact that they're successful, the fact that they're, what they're we want what they have, type of thing. I really don't want to, or I don't need to challenge them, because the proof is in the pudding, right? So who am I
Mm-hmm.
to question? They're telling me, I'm pretty much trusting what they say and going with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Well, not that I was like trying to contradict them or anything. I just mean, like, for some reason they would say things and it just didn't make sense. Like, for me, at least, it was like that. Like, they would tell me things and it didn't make sense. But like, yeah, you're going through the actions and everything. I would do it, but I never understood it until I hit a certain, I guess, uh, like a certain kind of, like, I guess once I hit certain that mindset shift,
yeah.
then it was like, oh, like, I don't know, then it started clicking. Like, then I started actually understanding the words. Like, I was just going kind of through the steps. Like, okay, I do this, sure, 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 but it didn't really, I don't know, it didn't really click into me. You didn't have those kind of
You,
that
well,
kind of.
the thing is, right, a lot of times we just aren't really thinking. We're kind of just going
Hmm.
through emotions, but a lot of people don't think,
Hmm.
right? I mean, there's mental activity going on, but the faculty of reason isn't really being activated. You're just sort of going along, and it isn't until you really need to, like, stop, like if something happens where you got to snap out of your autopilot mode and really have to think. But when you really think of it, most people are very habitual, right? On a daily basis, there's certain set things that you do when you wake up in the morning. You've got a certain routine. You get into your routine and you're literally on autopilot. And so
Hmm.
your mind just kind of flips you. It just goes into the subconscious, and you just start. I mean, you could get up, drive to work, get to work, and realize, well, I don't even remember driving here, because you
Hmm.
really weren't consciously aware of it. It was all done subconsciously, right? And
Hmm.
not until you're kind of given some kind of impact to kind of snap you out. And so most people literally live their lives and never really think. Like, thinking is actually a skill that
Hmm.
that
Oh,
literally
yeah.
learned.
Two, thinking and listening. You
Yeah.
don't realize how much you don't listen. until you're forced to like actually listen.
Yeah,
Or at least learn about listening
yeah,
more of it. You started learning about listening and how important it is, and you realize how little you listen, and you're like, oh my God, I need to start focusing.
just it, right? And so I just love it because for me, I'm just learning so much and just really being able to, when I have a conversation with someone, really focus on them, right? And listen to understand them, like not just listen for the sake of listening, like, but really listen to understand, like put my focus on them. And
Mhm.
a lot of people don't do that. It's all about themselves. And so, yeah, they're not listening. They're not thinking. They tell me to do stuff. Yeah. So they're just, there's just no thinking going on. And so that's what it is. And you're doing it over and over until eventually, because it becomes a habit, and then you shift because of the
Mhm.
repetition of it. And that's when you're like, oh, wow. Yeah. But
Yeah. Going back to what you were saying about habits, what habits have you since going through all this? Like, what are your new habits that, you do religiously or something that it's like you can't like go without?
I do my reading every single day.
Hmm.
Like that's a non-negotiable for me. I
That's
read,
awesome.
yeah, reading, exercise, meditation. I'm starting to like journal now, uh, and doing my studies. Yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, that's great. Actually, one thing I always was like, I can work out, maybe 2, 3 times a week. Yeah, now for me it's every day, but I think my definition of working out has also changed because I used to like work out like going to the gym, whereas I wouldn't think of working out, for example, like going for a walk. And so I would never do a walk because I never thought of that as exercise for some reason. I don't know why. And so like that now I'm like, oh, how can I not exercise every day? I just do like a small walk and that's even my exercise.
yeah, yeah. So I walk every day. Well, I should say Monday to Friday now. I was doing that every day, but now Monday to Friday I do it. Weekends I usually do one day on the weekend, and then I just have one day of just absolute rest, right?
Mhm.
But yeah, I walk every day, and then in the mornings, Monday to Friday, I do like I work out. Like I have like a gym in my basement, so I just go down there and work out. And so that's non-negotiable for me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. And so what about, for example, like that getting into personal development or entrepreneurship both? What skills do you feel like you had that you felt like helped you get into it and really, start thriving in this?
Well, as you can tell, I love talking to people, right? So that's a great skill. I mean, I really enjoy connecting with people, learning about individuals' lives and everything about them. And that's, a lot of not everybody is like that, but that's just a gift that I have, and I'm able to really articulate myself quite well. And so that I think definitely helped me for sure. Just being having no issues speaking publicly and
Mm-hmm.
lives. Although it was nervous when I first, started it. As much as I love that, it's always kind of nerve wracking. I even got a little bit of butterflies coming on with you now, right? But you know,
I feel like that always happens though. I feel like whenever it's anything new or something, you still get at least a little bit of
yeah,
butterflies. Doesn't matter how like amazing at talking or not amazing at talking or
yeah,
I think it's just the worse you are, the more the butterflies.
yeah. So yeah, for me, that's what it is. Like just my communication skills and interpersonal skills definitely helped me for sure.
And what about, cause like, well, at least in the real estate side, you and your husband work together. What were like the skills and the dynamic between you guys that helped you guys propel forward?
Well, he does a lot of the renovations. So he's the hands on in terms of the work, and then I deal with all the other stuff,
Hmm.
right?
You make sure everything's organized and
Yeah,
taken care of.
exactly. And it's easier because I can communicate. We just had to deal with a lawyer today, and it's like just
Mhm.
let me do the talking here.
Yeah.
I just learned to just how to communicate and not kind of just remain calm and just understand, hey, this is the process. Yes, sometimes annoying questions are asked, and the broker will ask, the lawyer will ask, but just remain calm. It's just, this is just the way it's done, and yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think I noticed that in relationships, I feel like it naturally comes in the sense of, you guys like you'll start working together, but you guys just start taking on what you're expert on without I feel like even really talking about it. You're just like, oh, don't worry, I'll take care of this or I'll take care of that, and then it's just like you guys, start working on what you're the best at, and it just kind of goes without even I feel like without even really talking about it. Does that happen with you?
Yeah, it does actually. Yeah, you're right. You're right about that.
Hmm. Yeah, it was the same thing with my husband. It was really funny. We would just like if I would see him struggling, I'm like, I got it, don't worry. I know how to do this. He
Like,
sees me struggling, same thing. He's just like, don't worry, I got you. We
yeah,
got this. And I'm like, okay, thank God.
yeah, like anything that has to do with docu-signs or computer sending them the lawyer's stuff or whatever, that my husband wants nothing to do with that. And have,
Same with my husband
yeah,
too. He's
I,
like,
yeah,
he's like, don't talk to me about computers. I don't care.
right. Yeah, exactly. But he's very good with numbers though. So I rely on him for that.
That's awesome. Yeah, and it's like it's very interesting once you start noticing it in a relationship that it really is that their strengths are your weaknesses, your
Oh,
strengths are their weaknesses, and you
totally.
don't realize like how big that is
Yeah,
and how
true.
how normal it is.
Yeah. And like, because we complement each other so well. Like, you would
Mhm.
not see him on this talking. Like, this is just what he would have any desire to do. So we complement each other.
Yeah, 100%. Completely agree. So going to the future and just thinking about your future, what are skills or like both like skills slash mindset shifts that you're now trying to achieve or improve on?
I'm always trying to improve myself,
But any specific area that you're like thinking about to that
into
you've noticed that you want to change?
that I would want to change in terms of skill.
Hmm.
I mean, I guess
Or mindset shifts.
well, the mindset, I mean, I'm doing that every day. It's a constant thing. I'm always studying, growing, loving it. And I just want more and more. And that will be forever. The skill part, I mean, I guess I could probably be more savvy on like for computers, but I can also just delegate, right? So
Hmm.
if I'm weak in a certain area, I don't necessarily want to spend my time perfecting it. It's just leveraging that somewhere else.
Hmm. So probably then more just improving on the skills that you already have then is probably more important to you. Or
Yeah.
actually, how's delegating actually? Because that's something recently you've started doing, right? Within the last few months. How
Yes.
how is how is that learning curve been going?
You know what? It's actually, I mean, everything has its bumps, but I love it. It's so much great. It's so wonderful to have a team like working with you and you're not doing it all
Mhm.
by yourself. I love it.
Yeah. And I don't know if this happened to you, but did you also, like, once you hired them, you start realizing, like, because I remember, at least for me at the very beginning, I'm like, I don't know, I'm hiring this person full time. I'm not exactly sure what they're going to do. I'm like, I don't even know if that what I have for them is full time work. But as soon as I hired them, and I mean, I had things, but I wasn't sure if I could obviously every day make sure that they were full and having enough work. But I felt like I think another money mindset shift is like once you started paying them, I started realizing like, why am I doing this? I can pass that off. Why am I doing this? I can pass that off. And I was just like, oh man, I do so much stuff. Did that happen with you?
It's just, you know what? I guess I just understood the art of just delegating. And so to delegate and a lot of the people that I work with, they're they've worked on their mindset. They're there. They get it. And I find that that really helps. Like
Hmm.
absolutely makes a difference when they are on that understanding as well about mindset.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's great. So yeah, so for you then delegation was super easy. You kind of already knew everything you were gonna give them.
Yeah, I don't have a problem releasing and delegating.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
what about, and I guess communication was probably very easy for you with them too. That was one of the things I also started realizing, that I was like, oh, I need to know how to explain things better. But I feel like for you, that probably didn't come, that was probably easier for you.
You know what? I could improve, I think, because sometimes there's miscommunication, and sometimes you just assume, hey, but then you realize, oh, okay, and it's
Mhm.
just a matter of, okay, you learn from it, and then you have a discussion, and you move forward.
Yeah. Or you ask yourself, like all the time, is really funny. When they would finish something, I'm like, what did I say to make that happen? And I was like, I need to change the what I said, because I was like, that wasn't what I meant. Like you really start everything I get with personal development, you just start really noticing how much you really analyze yourself so much more. Like that anything that happens, I'm always like, why did that happen? And I was like, how did I make that happen? I was like, I need to, tweak that a little bit or something.
Yeah.
Do you get those?
Yes, absolutely. Always reflecting, and how could I improve? How could I do better? And always taking responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Always, it's always my fault, right?
Yeah.
Like not pointing the blame.
100%. Yeah, that was actually, I guess I would say, like, for me at least, a big mindset shift was being like, it's always my fault. Doesn't matter. Even if it was, like just something negative happens around me, I was like, why did I bring that to me? It's just like you just realize, like, I did that. Oh, I had a bad day, and it's just like something happened.
Yeah.
You just start realizing it's all about you. You're the one yourself who makes your reality happen, and it's so true.
Yeah.
Did you felt like the same? You had those kind of I don't know, revelations or feelings?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's like I said, it's a constant reflection. Okay, how could I improve? How could I, and not just not being hard on yourself, just being aware and just knowing, okay,
Hmm.
next time I can do this. Like learning not to be critical, because that's key, right?
Hmm.
You want to feel good
Yeah.
about who you are and what you're doing. And we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes, but that's the whole process of life. It's about learning. From every situation is a learning experience. And so every time I experience something, I'm always looking for the good. I don't always
Hmm.
find it. And maybe sometimes it just takes a minute, but
Or I was gonna say, sometimes you wait. I feel
yeah,
like that happens. So I'm like,
yeah,
I know I'll see it afterwards.
right.
Like it's also when you're in it, I feel like you're super stressed or irritated or whatever,
Yeah.
and you're just like, give it a little bit. I'll see that it was actually all worth it or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. But just developing like self-control, and just being able to just take a step back and just reflect and look at the bigger picture, and not sweat the little,
Hmm.
you know?
Hmm. Yeah, agree. Yeah, I think I would say that's another mindset shift, is that you start realizing, like, for example, like, why did I get mad about that? Doesn't even matter. Why did I get upset about this thing? What that doesn't matter. And you start realizing, like, I have bigger things to think about than these little petty things.
Yeah, exactly. When you look at the grander scale of things, yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
There's so much more
Yeah,
than all this little stuff. So
yeah, yeah. Even like that, I would say, like with relationships, like sometimes, like now I like, why did I even bicker about that? Like that was so petty of me, and I was like, not even worth my time. I was like, why would I get mad about
oh,
that?
I've really learned to exercise self-control with that, because you're not going to win, right? Every time, if you're trying to convince, your point, oh, I'm right, I really humbled myself there. Yeah.
No, I totally agree. I feel like, to be honest, I feel like probably the best personal development you can do is between you and your husband or your significant other. Because like you're there 24/7, and it's like the person that can irritate you the most, to everyone. Like they're with you all the time, they live with you, and it's just kind of like I feel like if you master living with them and like conquering all those, like little things that you fight about or whatever it is,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like if I can conquer that, the
I,
world is nothing.
that's so true.
Yeah, I remember I was telling someone I don't know, I was reading a book on like communication and negotiation, and it's really funny. But for negotiation, um, like I don't know, again, because I took negotiation as a negative thing in the past, and now it's like in everyday life, there's always negotiation that happens. And I remember I told someone, I was like, I was reading it, I'm like, wow, these are such amazing tips. It's so great to learn. It's really helped to, improve the communication between people. And then I told them like, I'm gonna work on this with my husband. Like, and then they were like laughing in the sense like, you're gonna try to control your husband. I'm like, no, I like I see it as like it's just so good at like it tells you how to effectively communicate with people. And I was saying the same thing. Like I was just like I see him all the time. Like the person I probably bicker with the most, or I know I bicker with the most, is obviously my husband because I'm living with him 24/7. Everyone else, you can kind of like I'm gonna take a break from you. I can easily kind of like take a break, but it's like 24/7 always there. And I was like, I'm gonna practice this on my husband and see how it works. And he was like laughing at me and thinking like, what are you trying to do? Control him? Like, no, it's just like I just think like that. If I can conquer our relationship and communication, the amazing things that can happen outside even easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you ever read any books on the communication and negotiation, or you're more into like the personal, well, I mean, that's also personal development, but different types of personal development.
One good book was from Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I thought that was phenomenal, and
Oh, yeah.
that really goes into communication and how to deal with people.
Hmm.
Not just
I should read that one. I started it. For some reason, I couldn't get past through the first like chapter, first few pages, to be honest. I don't know why.
I thought it was amazing. Like I have to go back and like I'll circle back around it, but I thought it was phenomenal.
No, but I think it may have been, like where you're at. Like at that time, I was more interested in like let's say specific like types of negotiation. For example, in that time, like I really liked actually Never Split the Difference. I don't
Mm.
know if you read that one. That's more about like that's like business negotiation, I guess, like different techniques, and I was like into that at that time.
Mm.
And again, it's like also the things, right? When you're kind of like, I just want to quickly learn the tips. And and that book was more like, at least from what I remember, it seemed like more of a story. And I'm like, I just want to get to the nitty gritty. So I don't think my mind was there to like, focus on it.
Yeah, I get you, but
Because a lot of people have also said it, and I was like, I should get back into it and actually read it.
yeah, it's good. It's good. Like it because it's not as much strategy as it is how to deal with people. And so it
Hmm.
helps you in every area, business,
Hmm.
family, like all types of relationships. It's pretty good.
Hmm.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. I will get back into it. What book are you reading right now, actually? What's your
So I'm reading the Law of Success, 16 Lessons
Mm.
by Napoleon Hill.
Oh, okay. I've never read that one.
Yeah,
I'll put it on my list.
yeah, it's pretty good. I every day there's another one, The Power of Awareness by Neville Goddard. Um,
Hmm.
I I study that like in the morning. So I'm always there's a few chapters that I'm just kind of going on every day, and and there's a couple other books that I'm always drawing on. I don't just read a book and then go on. Like I kind of there's certain chapters that I'll spend some time on and study and read. So right now, yeah, it's The Law of Success, The Power of Awareness. But I also have a few other books that like Think and Grow Rich. I'll pull it out every now and then. The Science of Getting Rich. I'll pull it out every now and then.
Hmm.
As a Man Thinketh. I've read those before, but I'm always going back and kind of going back over the stuff and rereading it because that's our mind needs the repetition.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. With me, I can only focus actually one book at a time. So that's really good that you can do too. Because for some, there's been times where I'll try to read two, or more like I'll do one audio and the other one reading. And like the books end up meshing together and I get so confused.
Well, the way I do it is there's a certain time in the morning when I do my 30-minute reading. That's when I read The Law of Success. And then for the other books, I'm studying other stuff, and so I'll kind of draw those in with those studies. And I do audiobooks as well, and I do that when I do my walks. I'll do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't know. For me, yeah, it works fine. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's great. So last and final question. So for your, what are your goals for in the next like 5 to 10 years?
Mm.
And it can be anywhere, whichever ones, like personal and business.
To just continue to grow and expand my business, the real estate, like just continue doing what I'm doing, but just
Mhm.
let it grow. My mind, grow my mind every day. Just like working out, you got to work out every day. If you want a six pack, you can't just work out once a week, right? You do it consistently over time. Well, our minds is like that as well. You got to work your mind out every single day. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I just want to grow my business and just expand, grow the real estate. 10 years, I see myself, yeah, basically doing very well. Yeah.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to talk with you. It's always fun. We always chat about amazing things.
Yes, yes. Thank you so much for having me. It was so great.
Awesome. And thank you everyone for coming. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Oh, can't seem to disconnect for some reason. There we go.